Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're here talking all things real estate. And Patrick, you had some stuff you wanted to talk about today that you found.
You know, I really want to talk about the 6 biggest mistakes that home buyers make when they're buying a house.
Okay.
And of course, like if there's, what would we be worth if we can't help you avoid those mistakes at the same time?
Yeah.
Right? Well, I'll jump into the first one. Not thinking ahead and considering long-term implications of a home purchase. I get into it a lot when clients tell me, we meet somebody at the first get-go and you start getting to know them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Like, my brain is mentally taking notes.
Yeah.
Are they planning for a family? Are they thinking about getting a dog? Are they,
Yeah.
Any kind of clues that they give me.
Yeah.
When we go look at a house and they might be like, oh, this might be a really sexy looking house. Might be really, this kitchen, this bathroom, whatever. Or it might be the workshop. Then I'm there to remind them, hey, remember you told me this? What about this?
Sure.
Oh, you guys talked about you're going to expand your family.
Right.
So, a lot of times, and you might not be able to do that all in one step, right? It might start with, let's get a condo. Well, should that be close to town? Should it be a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom?
Sure.
Depending on budget. Oh, maybe we can't get this in our budget over here. Maybe we can go a little further away. You'll have to put up with the commute.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And I think maybe another part of that, and this may be in one of the other 6, but that goes with that is, someone can get excited about a property and say, no, we're going to do it. It's at the top end of our budget, beyond the top end of our budget. We can get it. But, one of the things I tell all of my clients when I first meet with them is it's wonderful that you want to own a home, but you also want to be able to go out for dinner or go to a movie or just hang out, whatever the case might be. So I think that's another important thing that we, maybe it's this way, because we as the agent are not as emotionally invested as the purchaser, right? I'm 100% invested in serving my clients, but maybe more objectively in terms of what we're looking at and the pros and cons that I will lay out to my clients. Here are some pros and cons, and have you thought about this? And, we mentioned these things when we had first talked. So how does this fit in what you're thinking? So
exactly. I could be excited about a property, but I'm not the one writing the check, and that keeps me from being emotionally involved in the decision-making process.
Yeah.
So we could be the litmus test.
Mm-hmm.
We could be the filter. We could be the sounding board.
Yes.
Whatever they told us, whatever clients have told us, we can tell it back to them, remind them, like, things can change. Totally understand that.
Right.
We could find a house that they weren't looking for in the first place. Maybe there's a specific opportunity comes up.
Right.
But yes, that's number 1 was not thinking ahead.
Okay.
And the second one, we covered that right now, overextending yourself financially without a clear plan for paying for the home.
Yeah.
So you covered that.
Yeah, and I think the other part of that is there's our part to that. There's a part where you need to sit down, you the buyer need to sit down or have sat down with your mortgage broker or your bank and gotten those numbers from them in terms of what makes sense and what's feasible and how do we proceed from here.
Well, and you never know what can happen, even if you don't expect it to happen. So if you bought a house 2 years ago, or even last year, I locked in for 5 years at 2.9%,
right?
Whatever, something like that. And depending on the size of your mortgage, if you're on a variable, and now the interest rate has changed, I hope and I pray that people have planned for that.
Sure.
Because and be prepared maybe to pay interest only for a little while until the interest rates come back down. Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. Number 3, not considering all the costs involved in home ownership, such as maintenance, taxes, and home insurance.
Yeah.
There's probably more we can add to that.
I think there's part of the purchase process expenses that go into that, but that might be another one of these that we get to. But certainly, as a renter,
Mm-hmm.
you're not thinking about taxes, and you're not thinking about kind of just whatever the expenses are of, hey,
My
this
roof.
broke or that broke
Yeah.
or this needs to be replaced. What do I do if I'm a renter? I phone the landlord.
Right. Where I've replaced my washer dryer. I've been in my place for a while. Washer dryer. So they're going to be coming up again. When they start breaking down. Oh,
Yeah.
but we repaired it.
Yeah.
We're on our second hot water.
Yeah, the
tank.
hot water tanks are classic, right? Because back in the day, the hot water tank would be like 12 years, and then the more efficient the hot water tanks have gotten, the lower their lifespan.
Yeah, yeah. And I got a bigger hot water tank now that barely fit because there's 6 of us in the house.
Right.
When we moved in, was there 3, 4? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm staring at that roof. We've been in our house 15 years, and it's like, okay, the roof's okay, but it's, I have to start thinking about
it's getting
budgeting for
close, right? Because
Yeah.
25 years is usually
that. Right, if they even last that long.
right,
And
20,
it's like
25.
twice.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
and there's probably more than that, right? So if
Oh,
there's
yeah.
like
Well,
drainage issues,
Sure. Yeah.
all kind of things.
The other one that you mentioned there is taxes. Typically, taxes get tacked onto your mortgage payment,
Yes,
but-
conveniently.
right? But you can have it set up. I had it one time, my house. I had it set up on a HELOC, so I was making the payment, and I had to also make sure I was putting aside, because I was paying the interest and something on the principal,
Mhm.
but I had to make sure I was accounting for the taxes. Otherwise, I was getting a tax bill at the end of the year with no money paid towards it or saved towards it.
Right, and that could be thousands.
Right.
Yeah. And around property tax time, as an owner, you'll have to, even if it's taken out automatically from your bank, they'll make the payments for you. Make sure you still have to go to the city hall. Now it's all online, and you could at least, register? I don't know, claim it.
Mhm.
You have to claim your homeowner grant, and that you paid to avoid penalties.
Yeah.
So there's always something to look out for there.
Right. And another one is insurance. Home insurance is different than renter insurance.
Yes.
Right.
Thinking, right, so you would normally have tenant insurance
Mhm.
for contents,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't cover the structure
Right.
of the property. So as a homeowner, you want to have your own contents insurance covered,
Yeah.
especially if you have expensive things, right?
Yeah.
By the time you put new furniture in there, appliances, whatever, and then and the structure.
Yep. And we're talking about a mortgage where the mortgage is not going to get approved without you typically showing the insurance.
And then strata, by law, you have to have it.
Strata insurance
If you move
for
into
condo insurance. Yeah.
A townhouse, duplex, anything like that.
Right.
What was the other one here? You know what? Some people have done this to me, clients of mine,
Okay.
and their mistake would be not doing a home inspection with a home inspector to understand the risks and to negotiate repairs and improvements with the
Yeah.
homeowner. And this hasn't been in the form of like, oh, that's okay, I'm not going to have an inspection.
Right.
But they would have somebody else that's not a home inspector. Home inspector would typically
yeah.
look at 1,000 houses in a year,
Right.
and they're just used to seeing the signs and symptoms of problems.
Yeah.
So they've got that trained eye
Sure.
looking at spaces.
Yeah.
Not that like an engineer or a contractor for residential property would be unfamiliar.
Mhm.
But I always think like you've got the trained professional. You're gonna have they can't see through the walls.
Yeah.
But at least you have somebody that's looked at 1,000 houses that could at least be able to spot those things that maybe to the
Yeah.
untrained eye.
Sure.
Like I'm not a home inspector and I've seen lots of houses, and maybe I notice something sometimes
Yeah.
if I spend enough time in that property.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not practice for me. I'm not actively looking for problems.
Yeah. And I would say in 10 years, I can recall, and it worked out fine, but one client who did his own inspection,
Mm-hmm.
and he was an engineer.
Fair.
So, and when he did it, what he did was way more detailed than an inspector would do normally.
Fair.
Right. So when I went there, because I'm there with him, he's putting on coveralls and he's actually going down in the
He's in the attic crawl space.
everything. and he's crawling right through the crawl space. He's not just looking down there. He's going down there with a flashlight and whatever else he's got. And
not everybody's got that attention to detail. I can understand that.
yeah, and like I said, in 10 years, that's one guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? One person, and
Even on new construction.
Yeah.
You know what? There's so many times I've listed properties that are like a few years old. People have lived in the properties, and then all of a sudden the home inspector comes in. We've got a deal on the table.
Yeah.
And then the vent from the bathroom to the roof is not attached, right? Because the roofers don't do
Sure,
it.
sure.
And the Tin Man was HVAC. Whoever does the HVAC, Tin Man.
Yeah.
They'll leave it there, assuming that the roofer will attach it.
Right.
And then they don't. And then
Right.
what do we find? We find mold.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
if it's not sealed property, there's
Yeah.
just little things that one contractor will assume the other contractor's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. It can slip through the cracks.
Right. So even on new construction, you really want to avoid things like that. That's just the most common thing that I've noticed.
Yeah, for sure. What are we on? Number 3, number 4? Or is that number 3 we just did?
4.
Is that number 4?
Yeah. Are you ready for number 5?
I was going to say, here's the thing. We're out of time today. So you need to come back and catch the next episode because in the next one, we'll go through.
Yeah, I've got 2 more, but we got lots to talk about and stories to share.
Yeah. So you know what? We're going to wrap it up today. Thank you all for joining us and watching us today. If you haven't, please take a minute and like and subscribe to our channel. We want to keep providing you with just, I understand our tone is more conversational, and that's our intent from the start, but we want to provide you with some good information. We also want to provide you with inspiring stories. We've had some great stories about past clients and people, how they got their first home, started their businesses and these different things. So we want to continue providing that for you and, giving you all a service out there. So please take a minute and do that. And if you think there's somebody that might benefit from what we're talking about, please tell them also, share the link for the video with them. And if you have any questions or there's anything you want us to specifically talk about, certainly feel free to reach out to us. I think all our information is in the description.
Always
right?
in the description below.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's it. Awesome.
That's a wrap.
We'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.
See you later. Same bat time, same bat channel.